A key component of the modern world economy, the chemical industry delivers products and innovations to enhance everyday life. It is also an industry in transformation, where chemical executives and workers are delivering growth and industry-changing advancements while responding to pressures from investors, regulators, and public opinion. Discover how leading companies are approaching these challenges here on The Chemical Show. Join Victoria Meyer, president of Progressio Global and host of The Chemical Show, as she speaks with executives across the industry and learns how they are leading their companies to grow, transform, and push industry boundaries on all frontiers. Here's your host, Victoria Meyer.
Hi, this is Victoria Meyer. Welcome to The Chemical Show. This week, I am sharing some insights from the annual conference of the American Cleaning Institute, also known as ACI, which occurred at the beginning of February. ACI's annual meeting sets the tone for the year, both literally and figuratively, as hundreds of companies come together and have thousands of meetings, plus panel discussions, industry discussions, networking events, and more. I have always loved attending this event, from my time leading global marketing at Shell to my days at Clariant to where I am today leading Progressio Global, which is a B2B consultancy focused on helping chemical companies get truly customer-centric in their marketing. A lot of my companies that I work with and clients are part of the cleaning industry and the raw materials side of it, as well as hosting the Chemical Show podcast. Today, what I really want to talk about is the key themes that I heard through multiple conversations at ACI, which I think really sets the tone both for the cleaning industry as well as the chemical industry more broadly. And we're going to talk about those themes, and we're going to talk a little bit about how you and your company and other companies are responding. Those 5 themes are sustainability, transparency, economic headwinds, innovation and growth, and green and buggy. And we're going to get to that green and buggy, and you're going to be bugged out maybe. Anyway, let's get rolling. Sustainability is the topic at every industry meeting I attend. ACI is no different, right? So when you think about ACI and the products that its member companies produce, the entire value chain interacts very closely with the consumer, with individuals, with you and I, whether it be consumer products, laundry detergents, home cleaners, to industrial cleaners, and other products. There's a multitude of things that ACI and its member companies produce. These products all have close contact with people, pets, and pests, right? And so sustainability has always been a core part of this, being very consumer-centric, being safe, recognizing the benefits of the products in the industry has always been critical. Still true today. Sustainability was the topic. And as I converse with different people and listen to different things that were talked about at the conference, there's different approaches, but at the heart of this, it's all about, number one, data and measurement, understanding the data, understanding the life cycle impact, having measurements and metrics around the energy impact, the sustainability impact, the environmental impacts of the products, the processes, et cetera. Very science-based, right? It is a science-based industry, has been, continues to be. And then the third piece is partnering, right? And so this is something that we've been talking about a lot. And as I've talked with different folks on the podcast, many of whom are partnering to create innovation to help support their sustainability journey. And partnering is critical, right? Finding the right partner for you. That's one critical thing. And then when we look about the data and the measurement and the science and how companies are approaching sustainability, a lot of it is getting really clear and transparent in what sustainability is and the sustainability, the profile, the impact of their company, their products, that value chain. And as somebody I talked to recently said, it's about telling the story and owning your story before somebody makes one up from you. So lots of conversations and topics on sustainability. One of the other things I really want to highlight is a consideration about the decisions that companies are making about where to insert sustainability, circularity, and green in the value chain. BASF spoke about this during the conference about, from their perspective, the most logical or impactful spot is at the front of the value chain, right? The feedstock, in bringing in renewable feedstocks, sustainable feedstocks, circular feedstocks, depending on what products we're really talking about, and then allowing it to proliferate throughout the value chain. And I think we're seeing this in a number of different places, both from new entrants and established entrants. One of the big news items just prior to the conference was the deal that Shell struck with Henkel to provide 200 kilotons of raw material, renewable feedstock that will go into Henkel's North American laundry products. Very significant deal. And I know that team was super excited. The other piece that this kind of segues into is transparency. Transparency has been really critical, and that's something that everybody talks about. ACI itself talks about, and it's the companies in attendance were really talking about is how to create transparency around the products, their impacts, what they do and what they don't do. So one aspect of this is just the sustainability metrics and the framework, storytelling, consistency, being science-based. There's a clear recognition at multiple parts of the value chain that is really important to help customers and consumers, and that customers in this case would be the formulators, and then the consumers really align on clarity of the metrics, the sustainability, the life cycle impacts, et cetera, of the products in that value chain. Recognizing that formulas at the end of the day are pretty complex. Figuring out how to bring those different components in is critical. Univar is doing some work around this space, and Kelly Gilroy, who you guys have heard on the podcast before, talked about this, about the framework that they're applying to help their wide variety of products and wide variety of partners and customers bring their data together. The other interesting piece is around ingredient labeling, which has been a real focus for ACI for several years. And this year they are rolling out their new database, what cleaning ingredients do. So there's real information, and information that can be applied the same across companies, no matter where you are in the value chain, about what these ingredients do, how they're used, what it means in its formulation, and what it means to the individual who at the end of the day may be interacting with it.
We'll be right back. At Ecovist, they're accelerating the transition to a sustainability-driven future. Their long history of innovation, expertise, and customer collaboration supports the development of proprietary catalysts and services across their two industry-leading businesses, Advanced Materials and Catalysts and Eco Services. Advanced Materials and Catalysts is a leader in proprietary and customized technologies for polymers, cleaner fuels, emissions control, and circularity. Eco Services is the largest North American recycler of spent sulfuric acid. Ecovist, your catalyst for positive change.
The third piece that was a clear topic of conversation is economic headwinds. Right. So as we entered the conference, Dow had just announced low earnings and that it was making significant cuts to its workforce. Everyone was concerned about demand. And certainly what we've seen is that there was significant slowing in Q3 and Q4, and January seemed to be a little bit sluggish. And some of this is really related to I think people are attributing it to different places, right? When we think about this economic impact, both inflation, the effects of the Russia-Ukraine war, and then really inventory adjustments in many places, especially as the supply chain starts to stabilize, right? So we've gone through a period of really volatile supply chains. People felt like they had to hold a lot more inventory. Then we jumped into a high inflation, and everybody's inventory is high or low, and we're seeing product prices move around. So there's a certain perception that some of this buying habits is going to stabilize as the supply chain stabilizes, as the economic environment stabilizes, et cetera. Nonetheless, people were kind of tempered on what their view of the economics, the supply demand picture for 2023 is, certainly at the first part of the year. Yet there's also positivity coming in. And what we're seeing, I think participants are seeing, and I'm seeing a reshaping, right? In terms of what those demand profiles look like, in terms of a stabilization. And I think people are feeling pretty positive as we go towards mid-year that we're going to see a strengthening of the economic environment, and particularly for the cleaning products industry and the chemical industry, see some strengthening in that. Certainly, as we see the earnings reports coming out from end of 2023, mixed bag, right? Some low, and then some people are reporting pretty good economic earnings. So I think we've got a mixed bag. Concern about these economic headwinds. It is something that people are going to be watching. I'm going to be watching and help my companies watch as we go forward into the mid-year and towards the end of the year. One of the things I think that's critical with this that companies can and should be doing is the whole aspect of looking ahead, planning for that next milestone, looking for those early indicators that are going to indicate the forward plan versus focusing only on current business. And companies that are doing this, and we're seeing this happening, are going to ride through this natural bumpiness that happens regularly, whether we recognize it or not, are going to move through this bumpiness pretty well, facing those headwinds well, making it happen. So as kind of concerned, and I wouldn't say it was super concerned, but there were concerns about the economics. What we're still seeing is growth, a lot of positivity about growth and innovation in the industry. And that's my fourth theme. Growth is clear, right? We are seeing significant investments across the industry. Talk to several people. This stuff tends to be public. So Exxon's making investments and they're bringing some new products to market. Shell is making some investments. Many other companies are investing in feedstocks, in surfactants, raw materials, the intermediate parts, et cetera. Growth. And, people are only investing because they see the demand. And as the economic environment improves, as you just look at our long-term picture for the chemical industry and for the cleaning products industry, growth is clear. The other piece that goes along with this is innovation. And Carlos Linares from Church & Dwight said, product innovation is starting again after a couple of years of COVID-related challenges when innovation didn't happen so much. And I think that's really interesting because innovation has been a hot topic. And certainly we've talked a lot about this across the Chemical Show podcast as I've interviewed various guests. But to a certain degree, it has been harder to innovate. We've changed our work patterns. We've had tremendously different stressors and different concerns over the past couple of years. What we're seeing and what I was hearing coming out of the conference from a number of different companies that hit different parts of the value chain is that innovation is really critical. And they're feeling really positive about it, right? So we've seen a lot of innovation, but where we're starting to get to is more formulated innovation and really across that entire value chain, new products, new formulations, new ways of working, supported by digitization. That's clearly, as people are getting a grasp on it, really supporting this. But growth and innovation is absolutely a key theme for this industry for 2023 and going forward. My fifth key theme that came out of it is green and buggy. So we have been talking about green and bio-based raw materials and formulations for several years. You guys have heard some of these folks on the podcast, Locus Performance Ingredients, Integrity Biochem, reporting really positive. One, they've been innovative, so it ties back to that prior theme of innovation, but also really positive advances in green and renewable feedstock, both from people that are relative new entrants coming in, as well as some established entrants. And then, we're seeing a lot of partnerships. So this all kind of ties together. From a fermentation perspective, we've got Locus, we've got Holoferm, who of course is partnering with Sasol. Again, just prior to ACI, they announced an expansion of their collaboration, which is frankly a positive sign for the industry. IBC, and then Novozymes was there. Obviously, they have been bio-based for most of their history, right? So we sometimes want to think that this bio-based is new. It's not new. It is certainly a focus, and it supports my first key theme of sustainability and transparency. If we look at this innovation across the value chain, it all ties together. Green and bio is there. The other thing is buggy. I actually walked in at the tail end of a conversation when people were talking about sustainable innovations, and it was all about bugs and the bugs in their products. And you know what? I don't really know. We're going to have to go dig that out. And if I find it, I am going to link it to the blog post that goes with this article or goes with this podcast. Again, it is also part of this green, natural, renewable innovations that we are seeing and going to continue to see, particularly in this part of the industry. When we think about the cleaning industry, the green, the renewable, buggy has been important. So anyway, so those are my themes, as we've already kind of talked about here. So sustainability, transparency go together very well. Economic headwinds tempered by growth and innovation. Appreciate you guys listening today. Tell me, if you were there, what did you hear? What stood out for you as you engaged with your customers, suppliers, other counterparts at ACI this year? Shoot me an email, leave a comment on LinkedIn or Instagram. Would love to hear from you. Thanks for listening today. We'll see you next time.
We've come to the end of today's podcast. We hope you enjoyed your time with us and want to learn more. Simply visit thechemicalshow.com for additional information and helpful resources. Join us again next time here on The Chemical Show with Victoria Meyer.